if a group of Republicans said, we're done, and we're going to, at this moment, negate our power, because if it comes from the Democrats, it just looks like you're angry, right? We're gonna give up our power. Why? Because this country and saving this republic and this democracy is more important than us or my next election. You know I'm telling the truth? Because I stand to lose everything. Give me 10 Republicans, give me 7 Republicans like that, and I'm telling you, and I hope the Republicans are listening, maybe everybody can send this to them. If you do that, you've solidified the rest of your career.
Hello, and welcome to the PoliticsGirl podcast. I'm your host, Lee McGowan. Let's get into it. Well, the White House Correspondents Dinner took place over the weekend, and it didn't go exactly as planned. Or, if you look at things the way I do these days, where I've been forced to live in a perpetual tinfoil hat, conspiracy theory, actually this might be the most logical way to think of it world, this weekend might have gone exactly as planned. To paraphrase attorney and writer Carolyn Stout, we do not know if the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner was staged, but the circumstances are strange, and the whole thing feels incredibly muddy. So while it could be a false flag, it could also just be an astounding cascade of immense ineptitude. Stout writes, "What's disturbing about this incident is the immediate propaganda that came out for the White House ballroom and the conclusions that the White House were themselves making about the shooter and the reasons for the shooting, which, as she puts it, were at best irresponsible and at worst calculated. What we do know is this. Shots were fired. And as I record this on Monday, April 27th, we don't yet know who fired those shots. We can say an armed man rushed the building, but we can't say it would be an assassin because we don't actually know if this was actually an assassination attempt. What we can confirm is that the Trump administration was ready to go to use the confusion and misinformation around the event to push a very particular agenda. To talk with me about this today, I brought one of my favorite people to discuss complicated things with, Joanna Johnson, otherwise known as Unlearn 16. Joanna is a content creator, writer, and teacher from Toronto who, like me, is interested in both educating people and keeping our critical thinking skills fresh. So without further ado, please welcome my guest, teacher, social media superstar, and critically acclaimed author of That's Not What This Book Is About, Joanna Johnson. Hi,
That's
Joanna.
That's one heck of a bio.
Hey! I literally called you. We were going back and forth on Saturday, and I was like, you got to come on the show and talk about this because we have to talk about it. So
when I found out what happened, I'm like, is she there? Could she possibly be there? I'm like, you're not going to answer the phone even if you were there. But
yeah, no, I wouldn't go. To full disclosure, I was actually in DC all last week. And then all the parties for the White House Correspondents' Dinner were happening. And like, they would never invite me to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. But I was invited to all the parties, and I was like, I just find the whole thing, like, I'm glad that they're taking me seriously. I'm glad they see the importance of independent media, but like, just the idea of putting on like a cocktail dress or like a gala outfit right now when we're at war and the press is so demoralized, and it just felt so, I don't know, the whole thing just felt gross to me. So I didn't stay for any of those parties. I was like, I just can't do it. I would personally rather see the media out there doing the work. I understand part of the job is, socializing and seeing your colleagues. And I understand the importance of that in a work environment. But right now it feels like the media is lying down on the job.
we keep spying the media.
Yeah, well, that doesn't help.
I'll take this. I'll take this one. I'll take that one.
I mean, honestly, you can't believe how many elements of our country were just norms. We're just people behaving well, as opposed to rules that were set down. And you think about all the antitrust laws that have been kind of getting out since the Reagan years. And you're This is why we had them, so that you couldn't have one billionaire and his billionaire friends buying all of your media and then telling you what the truth is. Like there was reasons we had antitrust laws, and it was because of things like this. And that's something we certainly need to bring back.
People ask my favorite president. It is Teddy Roosevelt. Hands down. Twice on Sundays. Absolutely.
I'm an FDR girl, but I will feel you. He is my second fave.
You're
I like the Roosevelts.
FDR above? Well, that's a whole other podcast.
Okay, listen. Saturday night, we had the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
No, you didn't even have the dinner. You had the...
No, we didn't even actually have the dinner. We had the prep, and then what happened. And look, I can't pretend that I didn't hear about what happened and immediately think, bullshit. What do you think?
Yeah, that was my heart. You know what the interesting part about this is that, so when I hear it and all of a sudden, everybody's already given their 10 cents or whatever. And I say 10 cents because people give far too much sometimes of their own opinions without actually thinking it through. When I started seeing that onslaught, the feeling I had after I knew everybody was okay, because it was like it popped off and I knew everybody was okay very quickly, right? What I felt was fatigue. What I felt was a level of complete and utter negation of giving a crap. And I say that whether it was fake or whether it was true. I don't care. And this is what this administration has done to potentially real life significant event. It has made me not care. Yeah. Everybody's fine. So I would have cared if there was any, obvious loss of life. I read his freaking manifesto, which he used the word AKA wrong 7 times.
Yeah. This incredibly brilliant man.
Everybody but Kash Patel. What? So when I started getting deeper into it, I thought, well, this is ridiculous. I care about 30 seconds later, he's talking about a ballroom.
Yeah, baby.
And everybody's like, focus is going to be focused on this. By the way, we're never going to figure out anything more about this guy. It's going to fade away into oblivion, just like the guy that pretendedly shot out a chunk of the ear that grew back. All of that stuff. We've never talked about it since. True or fake, it doesn't matter. We will never talk about it again. It'll just be gone.
Honestly, Joanna, that's why I had you on today, because there's part of me that does not want to fall into this. We're changing the narrative and here we are. Now we're going to talk about this and don't look at the war and don't look at our corruption. But I do think we have to talk about it. But I think your point that you're saying, like, we should continue to talk about it because this is a ludicrous way to live. The point that you're making is like, you hear about it, you're like, okay, everyone's fine. And then you're like, who cares? Like, this is ridiculous. Dave Colombo, who's an online creator, who's just brilliant. He said, the government has done so much damage to us that we can't get through a single thing without falling headfirst into conspiracy land territory because we just don't believe anything that comes out of the administration or our media anymore. And that is a real problem. Like, you're talking about this manifesto that they're saying exists now, right? But by the logic of the manifesto itself, it makes absolutely no sense in that, first of all, as you mentioned, this is supposed to be written by like a Caltech guy, like a super crazy smart man who is brilliant. And it's written like a child. I mean, he starts a sentence with like, and the timing makes no sense. Like, the manifesto includes how he's watching people go into this event and how lax the security is. I'm like, where is he seeing that from? Where is this armed man watching these guests from? Where is he writing this manifesto? From the hallway? From a stairwell, right? This out-of-towner just gets a room at this hotel, this particular hotel that there is no way wasn't booked literally months in advance, because that is where the White House Correspondents Dinner is. Try getting a hotel in DC when there's something going on. It's impossible. This guy gets a $3,000 a night room. The hotel would have been completely booked. Trump didn't even say he was coming until the very last minute. The whole thing to me reads like that confession letter from Charlie Kirk's murderer that was illogical, poorly written, gave away far too much information. It was like, yep, I did it. And here are all my reasons that I'm going to lay out in detail, right? I mean, even if you look at the performance on the dais at the dinner itself, the whole thing played like a badly written drama, and it drew really badly written, right? And it only draw more attention to me to the fact that the whole thing felt staged. So as you're saying, like, whether it's true or not, it did happen. And now Donald Trump gets to push the importance of his ballroom underground mansion bunker that he's so desperate for but can't legally get. And he's able to distract, right? Distract what I'm seeming to think is the gullible and compromised media at this point, from his abysmal war, from the high price of gas, from his family's outright corruption, and of course from the Epstein files, right?
And let's be honest, he has pushed the Epstein files. It's gone. I'm sorry. It is gone. Anybody who's giving he's had the DOJ, the new DOJ come out, go, we're done with it. We're not talking about it anymore. We're not doing anything about it anymore. It's done. It's done until potentially the next president digs it up. But what I can promise you, Lee, and I hate to say this, and it's so painfully true, they're not going to either. They're not going to. You understand?
Not if we hire the same people. Not if we hire the same people. If we stick in this centrist, it is the way it is, reach across the aisle type government, then no, they won't. Because I think it's possible everyone from, 10 presidents back is involved in this shenanigans. But I think that if we get the right people back in government, a totally different type of government for America, because we're not going back to how it was. We're either going deeper down into this like hidey hole authoritarian land, or we're building something new. And I think, like, I can tell you, if I was in charge right now, I would be the first person out there. I said to Sean at the airport when we're coming home from DC, I was like, I just want leaders that are like, America was involved in everything terrible that you think it was involved in. We shot JFK. We did this. We did that. We had a sexual ring that we were allowing children to be attacked so that we could blackmail world leaders. It's disgusting. We're embarrassed. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would love to be the leader and when I was like, I'm sorry, this is humiliating, but we have to build something new. And every single person that's involved in that who's still alive, we're doing televised trials for every single one of them. Sorry. We're sorry, world, and we're going to do better. I would love that. I don't know who gets to stay in government at that point, because I do not believe, and you know this, I'm an optimist, but I also think it's I'm a realist in the sense that I still believe that majority of people on this planet are lovely, good people. Here's the problem. I think too many people know too many things. So it's like, I didn't do anything, but I know that guy, or girl or whatever. And that complicity, it's like Felicity, but not. That's the problem. And I think so many people, if they were being honest, if they were being truthful, this already wouldn't be a problem. Whether you were on that list, I promise you, if you had money and you're in politics, you knew. Shut up by saying you weren't. And if you didn't blow the whistle when you knew, you're complicit, out you go. And in that case, they all got to go. It's the same. Well. It's no different than Diddy. It's the same thing. All these, I never win. Yeah, but you knew. You knew, and you didn't protect anybody. You just chose to not go to the party. And I think this is pretty significant about the state of the world, about what human behavior should look like, about what standing up for other people and what human rights actually look like. It's not just about your behavior. It's not just about what you do. It's about what you know goes on and you do nothing. Wasn't that the whole quote at the end of the World War II, right? Yeah. If I stand by good men, what is it? To all let evil men do whatever. It's good men to stand around and do nothing. I really messed that quote up. But yeah, you did. You blew it. But I mean, we all know the quote you're talking about. I couldn't think of it either. But yeah, no, it's like evil men succeed when good men do nothing, like that kind of thing. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Too many people knew. And you know, what Donald Trump did, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but what Donald Trump only did in his little reign is he's highlighted what everybody else has been allowed to get away with since World War II without acknowledging and without facing any repercussions, any international sanctions or ownership of anything, because the United States has had the luxury or the whatever of sitting at the head of the table and being the only remaining superpower at this point. You know, I start doing history lessons because I'm not interested in fighting about Donald Trump anymore. I think it's exhausting. He says exactly who he is. If you can't hear it, I can't do a TikTok to convince you. What I will convince you of is that Obama was involved in something. Clinton was involved in this. Reagan, heaven help us, was involved in all this stuff. Everybody, probably except for Carter, although the whole Iran thing is a little dicey over there too. And look at Carter. He was a one-term president that everybody says was the most useless president in the history of the presidency. Want to know why?
Because he wasn't blackmailing people?
The CIA wasn't going on and overthrowing left, right, and center. Like, this is the reality. And is it true that as a superpower, that's the way you build it? Possibly. Possibly. Is it also a reality that every country, given the amount of power that the United States has assumed and consolidated, that we would all act in that kind of self-interest driven mentality with no holds barred as soon as we step outside of our own country? Probably. I don't think that's a feature of being American. I think that's a feature of unchecked power. People talk about the Constitution of the United States all the time, and I'm like, that doesn't apply outside the U.S. though, right? We can argue that it's not being checked inside the United States, but as soon as there's a foreign policy mandate, none of that applies. None of it.
Yeah. Then we get back to might makes right.
And might makes right. I mean, I love Teddy Roosevelt. We started by talking about Teddy Roosevelt, walk softly, carry a big stick. Might makes right. And that's always been the way it is. And that's always been the way of the world because we've always had this militarized, isolationist kind of drive from each individual country. And you would think we would start to recognize how interconnected we all are. It's like COVID did the opposite of what it should have done. COVID should have made us all sit down and go, oh, shit. We're all on the same planet. Mother Nature kicks our ass whenever, she deems appropriate. And if we don't figure out soon how to act as a collective, how to understand what our health and our human rights should look like, we're going to be picked off country by country due to our own neglect and stupidity. But instead, because that's really scary, right? Instead of acknowledging the uncontrollability of that, well, half the countries in the world and half the people in the countries in the world went to government conspiracy, control, and we're going to go back to vaccines cause autism. Because they can control that. Because that's not going to make them shift their brain, right? And what we need to shift from, and I know there's going to be tons of people in the comments going, oh, she's a globalist. Listen, we're on a globe. You want to pretend like the United States has a little dome over top of it? Go ahead. You don't. You don't. And unless we learn that and figure that out, I don't know if there's a lot of help for us to be seen. And then this little incident is just, it becomes crystal clear. Planned or fraud, I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's going to be weaponized. It's going to be spun in order for him to get what he wants. And everybody's really confused why he wants this ballroom. I don't know. You guys don't have to go very deep with this man. He wants something that will never be changed to be up there for the next 100 years, that he can say he did it. Even when he's long since buried, he wants to be able to say, I did that.
Oh, I think he wants us to pay for the bunker that Teal has, that Facebook Bro has. All those guys have their own super bunkers. And I think he wants the American people to pay for his. And I think that he's not planning to leave, and he's building himself a missile-proof, drone-proof, bulletproof, protective hypermansion. That's what I think he's doing. I mean, listen, I think your point is that the same as, I know you know V Spear from Under the Desk News. She said, look, the issue isn't whether this incident is staged or not. It's the speed and the instinct of the administration to turn a violent act into more control for themselves. That they immediately had a press conference with all the administration officials standing on the side, smirking, I might add, right afterwards, talking about how this all justifies why Donald needs a ballroom. And then on top of that, you have this coordinated right-wing messaging to reinforce that narrative. Just relentless propaganda that, as V says, is deeply unnerving. And she said, we have to stop repeating these people's lies as if they're facts. And I have to say, as an online influencer myself, the right-wing coordinated messaging here was something else. Within the hour, every big influencer, along with political leaders and news commentators, were all saying the same thing. And that same thing was not, we're glad no one was hurt. Well, how could this happen? Thank God the president is okay. None of them said that. None of them said that, which would all be logical things for them to say. Yeah, they all said, this is why we need the ballroom, right? And you're like, what the? They all got a text within 10 minutes of this happening. And Ashley St. Clair, who is one of Elon's baby mamas, who's been out and proud and loud about how the mega influencers are all being paid to coordinate their messaging. She's like, this is such bullshit. I mean, we're talking everyone from Meghan McCain to Jack Posobiec to the libs of TikTok to Laura Ingraham, even John Fetterman. And I'm saying, like, go check John Fetterman's freaking bank accounts because he was on that same text chain. The whole thing was so coordinated to get Trump what he wants that he can't have. And as you're saying, whether the incident is authentic or not, it is this behavior from all of these people that is so deeply suspect. And I just want to tell people for the record that this is why we need the ballroom argument. It doesn't even work because the White House Correspondents Dinner is not an official White House event. So it would never be held at the White House anyway. There was over 2,000 people in that event. The ballroom is not supposed to hold over 2,000 people. And then on top of that, this is a man, Donald Trump is a man who spends most of his time hanging out on golf courses, right? Like a sitting duck on golf courses. So if we're talking about he needs to be protected from bullets and drones, this event is not a strong argument for the security that he needs for this ballroom when he's out there like a freaking sitting duck in his golf cart 5 days a week, right? So no matter what the media tries to tell us about, you know, the security or how the whole thing went down or why it was real for them, you know, I've seen people on MS Now being like, I can't believe people are even questioning this. I was terrified. You're like, yeah, because you weren't in on the plan, babe. The thing is that the people themselves aren't buying it, right? That's, I think, the thing that's so interesting. There's a group called The End of News, and they immediately pointed out on Saturday that we have never seen the people in the comment sections of social media so aligned on anything that it almost doesn't matter whether the event was staged or not staged. The fascinating thing was how few people were willing to buy into the constructed reality that the government and the press were trying to feed us. And they just weren't buying what these people were selling. And I thought that was fascinating. Functional mushrooms seem to be all the hype right now, but the one I hear the best things about is always mud water. Maybe you're one of those people who loves coffee, the taste, the smell, the whole ritual, but caffeine makes your heart race or your brain bounce. That's why Mudwater's new low-calf coffee has been such a relief to people. It's made with organic Arabica, Swiss water decaf, L-theanine, and functional mushrooms like lion's mane and cordyceps. So you still get that rich, full-bodied coffee flavor, but with only 45 milligrams of caffeine, enough to feel awake and dialed in without the jitters and the crash or the emotional roller coaster. And if you want something even gentler, the original Mudwater blend is still there for you. The coffee alternative made with cacao, chai, turmeric, functional mushrooms, warm, grounding, and perfect for days where you want energy, but no buzz. But for the coffee lovers like me who just can't handle the heavy caffeine anymore, this new blend hits the sweet spot. Real coffee taste, calmer energy, no spiraling thoughts. Because satisfying that coffee craving shouldn't wreck the rest of your day. The ingredients in Mudwater products are 100% USDA certified, organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, vegan, and kosher. There's zero sugar or sweeteners added, making the entire thing a wholesome choice for your wellness journey. Mudwater is packed with antioxidants and wellness benefits that nourish your body while keeping you centered throughout the day. To use Mudwater, you simply drop the powder into your favorite mug, pour some water on it, and give it a mix. Some go wild and add creamer or honey or even CBD. Ready to make the switch to cleaner energy? Head to mudwater.com and grab your starter kit today. Right now, our listeners get an exclusive deal, up to 43% off your entire order, plus free shipping and a free rechargeable frother when you use the code PoliticsGirl. That's right, up to 43% off with the code PoliticsGirl at mudwtr.com. And after you purchase, they're going to ask how you found them. Please support the show and let them know we sent you. So, I've been talking about OneSkin for a really long time. But guess who just started using it? My husband. I have been trying to get him to use moisturizer for years, but he doesn't like it. It clogs him up, it makes him sweat. But he is starting a new project, which is on camera a lot, and he was not thrilled with how he looked. So he started using OneSkin's eye cream and daily moisturizer. And I'm telling you, not only does he look better, this product doesn't make him sweat, and he likes the way it feels on his skin so much he doesn't even have to be reminded to use it. The core of the product is something called the OS1 peptide. It was the first ingredient proven to target senescent cells, which are the key driver of wrinkles and fine lines, and lost elasticity, which are all the key signs of aging. And OneSkin's results have been validated in 4 different peer-reviewed clinical studies. Certified safe for sensitive skin, the products are free from over 1,500 harsh or irritating ingredients. They're dermatologist tested, and they deliver powerful results without any harsh side effects. the products are designed to layer seamlessly or replace multiple steps. So it's very easy to get Sean, who is not used to using products, on board with it. And with more than 10,000 five-star reviews, these products are winners. Even Hollywood icons like Jennifer Aniston and Matthew McConaughey and biohackers like Dave Ashbury are talking about OS1 and the OneSkin products. So why not give it a try? Born from over a decade of longevity research, OneSkin's OS1 peptide is proven to target the visible signs of aging, helping you unlock your healthiest skin now and as you age. For a limited time, try OneSkin with 15% off by using the code PoliticsGirl at oneskin.co/PoliticsGirl. That's 15% off at oneskin.co with the code PoliticsGirl. And after you purchase, if they ask where you heard about them, please support the show. Tell them we sent you. They just weren't buying what these people were selling. And I thought that was fascinating.
And I think that's probably particularly the most dangerous thing. When you break the truth, or when you break the goal of gaining the truth and acknowledging the truth and investigating the truth, when you're so completely capable of cracking that, you will never be able to convince anybody of the actual truth again. It's
Right.
all been broken. You didn't just say sometimes this. No. What's happened is you went from fake news to it's all garbage. And if it's all garbage, that means you can't use it as propaganda anymore. You actually destroyed the very thing you thought you were manufacturing to hold you up and keep you there. It's done. You did that. And then the media, the way that they've tried to just keep a foot in the door is also exhausting. You know, it's exhausting the way they have to talk to this man. It's exhausting the kid gloves. It's exhausting the language and the gentle, Caitlyn is a great example of this. She goes hard in the paint until very recently. And she started to ease up, or else she doesn't get to come in the room. And this notion that that room means anything is all. If I were CNN, I'd be it doesn't matter if you're in that room. Who cares? He's not answering any questions. There's never any information that's coming out of any kind of validity or any kind of importance. Why would I want to be in the room? Let Tim Pool go. Who cares? Put everybody in tubes, call it a day. It doesn't matter what happens in that room. It's a useless room. I'm not sure if it was ever useful, but in this administration, it is 100% useless. He is never going to answer a question in any way but either denial or negation or bullying. And Levitt does the exact same thing. She has the exact same strategy. So what's the point in being in the room? Stop going in the room.
Yeah, no, I don't think the media is accepting or acknowledging how much contempt regular Americans actually have for the people that even went to the event in the first place. Like how many of us were totally unimpressed, almost grossed out that these people are still courting access to this particular administration, because access isn't your job. Journalism is your job. What's the point, as you're saying, of being in the room if they're just lying to you? You're not a reporter then, you're a stenographer, and they've turned you into a useful propagandist, and it's embarrassing. Like I saw a tweet from an NPR reporter, and she put a picture of herself and her date in their fancy clothes on the way home on the subway in DC. And she was like, it was a very dramatic night. Everyone's safe. And then she put that picture up and a picture of her view from when she was sitting on the floor in the ballroom. And I was like, babe, you're NPR. They completely cut your funding. He calls you lying hacks. You're only in business right now because an amazing LA philanthropist is keeping you at the table. The very least, a female reporter, he treats female reporters like they're stupid wastes of space. He calls them animals. Why were you even there, right? And then I watched someone like Dana Bash on Sunday talking to Jamie Raskin, and she's like, do you think that the Democrats should tone down their rhetoric because of this? And I was like, what are we even doing here? There's a writer named Donnie Evans. He writes a Substack called Developer. And he responded to that Dana Bash thing in a way that I thought was so brilliant. I'm just going to read it directly to you. He said, asking Jamie Raskin whether he should think twice about his rhetoric after the shooting incident at the White House Correspondents' Dinner was moral anesthesia with a chyron. Tone deaf, unserious, and so violently detached from reality that it deserves to be studied in a lab. Tell me, Dana, did it simply slip your mind that the president of the United States earlier this month threatened that a whole civilization will die tonight? Did you misplace the part where he said, open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell? Or is the rule now that Democrats must answer for the temperature of the country while Trump gets to set the whole damn building on fire and call it leadership? And I was like, yeah, that
last
because
part is perfect.
I mean, the mainstream media is dead. This is what the reaction to this, to me, the mainstream media is dead. They're just all fighting for the last paychecks in the authoritarian swamp. And I was just like, ugh, this whole thing is a nightmare.
A couple things. Number one, where's the billionaire? You know what? I'm going to give a shout out to Mackenzie Scott right now.
Yeah.
This is where your billions get used. We have billionaires only on one side of the fence to wield that kind of power to prop up this particular president and a particular ecosystem. But I promise you that economy that they're so driven by, it's coming to a screeching halt. And we're all going to feel it way more because we don't have the $1 billion buffer. But I promise you it comes to a screeching halt. Where's the billionaire on the other side of this fence? We're going to live in a system where billionaires buy power and media and the Ellisons own everything. Where's the flip side? Because what we need is a flip side so that like an actual news agency can be fully funded and fully vetted and fully supported to go on there every single night with investigative journal. You know what? I wouldn't cover another Trump speech ever. It would be investigation, investigation, investigation after each. And that's all that site should be. Where's that person? You know, and I get it because in order to become I feel like Mackenzie Scott is the counterbalance to this. Maybe I'm putting too many eggs in one basket, but I feel like her philanthropy and her, her standing with what she's done with her money, I feel as though it is the right type of leaning. However, do we live in a world where in order to get that amount of money, you've had to buy into a system. And once you've bought into the system, you cannot even come close. Even if you have all the money in the world, you cannot possibly step outside of it anymore. You are it. You become it.
I think that is the truth for the men. I think you're talking about Mackenzie Scott. People might know her as Mackenzie Bezos. People like Melinda Gates. You know, there are a number, even Tom Steyer, who's running in California. There are billionaires out there. The problem is that what we have to understand is that money makes money. So like you're a billionaire, your money is just like constantly, you can give away hundreds of millions of dollars and you're like, I'm still this rich. That's why it's like crazy that you're not buying media stations the way Sinclair was or the way the Ellisons are. But also you need to have approval from the government. So it's almost like you need to start something brand new. That's the problem. Donald Trump is approving these mergers, right? Like Netflix walked away from the table and Donald Trump has to approve it. Then you have to have the right to be on TV, not be taken off TV. You don't want the Justice Department coming after you. Right now, it's just such a broken, corrupt system. I feel like I have to point out that I feel like this event gave the president everything he wanted. And I just want to point out to people that because of this event, and I'm going to call it an event because I don't think it was an assassination attempt personally, this event, he didn't have to do his speech, right? No one made fun of him. He got a huge captive audience for his talking points about the ballroom. The 2,000 members of the press didn't have to watch him in real time as he fell asleep on the stage or declined for 3 hours. The whole thing felt like a win-win for him, which says to me that it was planned because they needed a way to take the story off how much he is failing and to set up a national security predicate that allows him to justify the ballroom. They didn't have one. Arguably now they have one now. So it's kind of two birds, one stone. And I feel like real journalists, as you're saying, if we had real news like that, real journalists should be digging into who this shooter was. They should be asking why there was such a fast and coordinated messaging throughout the MAGA universe. They should be questioning the manifesto in general. They should be laying out a timeline for when things are really bad for the president and then suddenly there's an assassination attempt, or in Charlie Kirk's case, an actual assassination, and it changes the news to something Donald Trump would prefer to be talking about. And I have to also say, I am really sorry to all the people in America who have had and lost a loved one to gun violence, especially people who have lost children in their schools to gun violence, to stand there and listen to this argument that because there was a gunman in the same building as Donald Trump, he deserves a $400 million bulletproof, drone-proof, missile-proof party palace. But you get thoughts and prayers for your dead child. We can't even give you legislation, right? Like, it's nauseating.
Ain't that the truth? I saw a teacher, obviously she was being facetious, but said something very similar. And I watched it and I scrolled past or whatever. And I thought to myself, holy shit, because you think about all of the doors that come over and the desks that fold and the walls that change and all of the maneuvering and different cycles they have to go through in order to do a lockdown. And what does a lockdown drill look like? And all of that being said, she makes a facetious, joking, oh, well, we'll just send a bunch of kids to you so they can teach you how to do a lockdown drill. The realness of that and the everyday practicality of that is nauseating, is absolutely nauseating. Like, nobody's talking about how this guy, and from what I understand, it was a fold out, right? Is it a transformer? Like, it's a fold out rifle. Nobody's talking about how that got anywhere close to the building. Nobody's talking about why is that allowed to exist in the first place? Nobody's talking about any of it. In fact, nobody's really talking about the shooter at all.
So, for the first time in a long time, I am back to working out. And I don't mean like on a treadmill. I still can't do stuff like that. But I'm doing Pilates so I can be stretchier and stronger. And in getting back into it, I realized I no longer own a single piece of exercise clothing. So when I considered where to get a new athletic bra, I thought, who better than Honeylove? The PoliticsGirl podcast has been working with Honeylove for a long time. They're an independent female-founded brand designed by women who actually wear the products that they make, including their founder, Betsy, who is highly involved in the development of each product. I have talked to you in the past about Honeylove shapewear and how they use targeted compression to enhance curves rather than squeezing them out. I've talked about their Cloud Bra, which is so popular and comfortable, but I just bought their Cross Flex Activity Bra, which has bonding to replace underwire and is more comfortable than an everyday bra, but supports like an activity bra. It has silicone cushioning bands and wings for smoothing, and it's designed for low to moderate activities like yoga and Pilates. I have always been happy with Honeylove products. Even though they're designed to do a specific job, they never skimp on the lingerie-inspired details that still make them feel pretty. Plus, they feel like a dream against your skin. So if you're in the market for a new bra or shapewear, why not treat yourself to one of the most advanced bras and shapewear on the market by using our exclusive link to save 20% off at Honeylove at honeylove.com/politicsgirl. That's honeylove.com/politicsgirl. And after you check out, as always, if they ask where you heard about them, please support the show and tell them we sent you. Experience the new standard in comfort and support with Honeylove. The PoliticsGirl podcast has a new sponsor, Biologica. Biologica is a supplement formulated by doctors for women at every stage of their adult life. They focus on mood balance, energy, metabolism, digestive support, and restful sleep. There are 3 formulas for 3 hormonal stages: primary, age 18 to 45, midlife, age 40 to 55, and postmenopause, which is 50 plus. Each formula is designed to support what women experience at that time in life. You select your stage, you pick a flavor, and you feel the difference. I'm in the midlife phase, so that's the Biologica I ordered in the cranberry lemonade flavor. It includes the critical nutrients I need without me having to take 7 different vitamins. It helps promote calm and emotional balance, which, let's be honest, I can use. It helps support deep and restorative sleep. It sharpens focus, cognitive clarity. It supports energy, metabolism, and it nourishes your digestive health and microbiomes. I'm really looking forward to trying this out. It's a drinkable daily supplement that goes well beyond multivitamins to include probiotics and electrolytes and clinically researched botanicals all in one drink. And because you're mixing it with water, it absorbs incredibly well. It's made with clean ingredients, no added sugar, and was developed with women's health experts who actually understand how much of our nutritional needs change over time. If you want to try it with me, head to biologica.com/politicsgirl to get started. You can take their quick hormonal life stage quiz to find the formula right for you. And right now, subscribers can receive up to 32% off their purchase. Again, make sure to go to biologica.com/politicsgirl to get up to 32% off with your first subscription when you order today.
Nobody's really talking about the shooter at all.
No.
Nobody's really
Just like we
talking
didn't talk about the
this guy at all.
shooter in Butler. We're no longer talking about the shooter
There's
that killed Charlie
manifesto.
Kirk. Between you and me and everyone who's listening, the whole thing is just weird, right? As someone smarter than me said, look, I'm no national security expert, but even I know that if there's an attempt to kill the president, you take the vice president to a separate and secure location, right? Even if you take all of these people at their word from this event, that this was a real threat, they still had Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, Mike Johnson, Kash Patel, almost all the cabinet in the same room at the same time in an active war. And then someone was allowed to get in the building with a gun, right? And then they moved from the hotel to the White House and they put the same group of people, the entire line of succession, in the same room again. Who is making these decisions? Because either the Secret Service is either incompetent or they are complicit. Because whether you believe this happened or not, you would think that like the Secret Service, who are now at their third attempt of the president's life, should all be replaced at the very least because they're terrible at their jobs.
Who was the designated survivor? Have you seen that show? I want to know in this situation, who was Kiefer Sutherland? I think we should figure that out.
Yeah, well, if we had a media, maybe they could. Listen, for me, this all harkens back to the Butler assassination attempt, because as I said back then, there was just no way the Secret Service allowed a shooter to get on that roof with a perfect visual, clear line of sight to this stage. There is no way that all of the police on site who were told that there was a guy on the roof with a gun just ignored it. There is no way the security moved photographers down for the perfect shot after the president had gone down. There's no way that flag just happened to lower. For the love of God, there is no way a 70-year-old man's ear was shot and doesn't have a single mark on it today. I still have holes from like piercings that I had that didn't go, right? Like you can't get rid of that. Like none of it makes sense. So look at the way the Secret Service behaved in the moment on this White House Correspondents Dinner that they heard about the shooter over the weekend. They left Trump completely unprotected. They removed J.D. Vance before they removed him. Over the years, we have heard stories from other presidential assassinations about attempts, about Secret Service agents picking up the president to remove him from danger so fast that they broke his ribs. That was Reagan. Yeah. Or their feet didn't even touch the ground because they like pick him up and throw them in a car, right? And here we have Trump stumbling and falling. The whole thing is a chaotic mess. And then less than 40 minutes later, he has a fully prepared speech and everyone's in that room all smiles. Can we talk a little bit about that frickin' picture that was taken in the room, in the White House press conference room with all of those people that were there at the event? Because none of those faces were the faces of people who had just survived an assassination attempt.
No, not even close. There's smirks
not
on those
even
faces.
Close.
I'm like, are you laughing? Listen, if Hegseth, there's a lot of people I dislike. Pete Hegseth might be, outside of Miller, might be at the top of my list because he has a drunken, disgusting, like everything about him screams, I am the worst person in the room and I'm going to smirk like this because I have all the power. But here's the funny part. It's done. Meaning, whatever you wanted to fashion, whatever you wanted to manipulate, whatever you wanted, you've broken your ability to control anything. The people that are going to believe you are going to believe you when you say the sky is red anyway, moving along. Everybody else is never going to believe anything you put out again, ever. And you did that. Part of me sees that as being sort of this moment or this forced moment of a pure possible revolution because you've burned it to the ground. Nobody stands up anymore. I don't believe anybody anymore, ever. Ever. And that's not just, you've burned it all to the ground. You have media over here, you have politicians over here, you have, podcasters over here. 90% of the time, I'm just like, well, I'm checking. And if I can't figure out how to check it, I'm just negating it as information altogether.
Yeah.
You've burned it all to the ground. So you think you're weaponizing something here. You think you've gotten smart and you got one over on the people. Nobody cares. The same people who liked you, the same 27% or whatever that liked you on Friday night, That's the same percentage today. This did nothing. This isn't standing on that stage with your hand up in the air with ketchup dripping down your ear. Not the same event. You've broken it all. You've broken it all. And the more that people say that, we are left in this position of what the hell do we do next? Because if we can't agree on anything, if we can't have a truth put forward, and people kind of go, yeah, I see, this is it. I'm seeing this as being the foundation of something. If we can't agree on that anymore, what the hell do you think democracy is going to do with that? What do you think the economy is going to do with that? Like everybody likes to say, well, it's just about democracy and voting and politics. No. If I no longer believe what you're selling, I don't believe the extensions of it either. I don't believe the stock market. I don't believe what oil's trading at. I don't believe the functionality or the legitimacy of mass corporations anymore. And if I don't believe in those things, if I can't buy into a fundamental understanding that we all share, that is the essence of the collapse of a society.
Yeah. I mean, people always say all the time, like money only has value because we collectively agree it has value, right? With like these people in our government only have power because we collectively agree they have power. I mean, the thing is that like, I think about, if you have not seen this picture and you're listening to this, I want you to go to the picture of this press conference with Donald Trump at the podium and every single person in the line of succession over to the side. I don't know if they didn't think they were on camera, but the looks on all of their faces are not normal for people who were in an alleged shooting minutes before. Because if it was real, these people are sociopaths. And if it was fake, these people are criminals. And the thing is that we have to remember is that when they were there doing this press conference, we did not have this manifesto yet. Okay. The man who had the gun, he didn't even make it down to the floor they were on, right? Like he was stopped on a different floor. So we don't even know, we did not know at the time that Trump was even the target, right? Like could be someone who hated the press, who had been told continually they were the enemy of the people. Maybe he wanted to take a bunch of the press out. We didn't know anything. And yet the administration immediately released the shooter's name. They told us he was from California. They released security camera footage within the hour. Trump had his ballroom speech and his coordinated right-wing influencer campaign ready to go. And then they're all in this room smirking their faces off. I think we have to be really serious. And I want to talk a little bit about the people who are like, okay, listen, don't be a conspiracy theorist. Don't fall into their trap. Don't go down this rabbit hole. And I feel like, I think I'm past that. Like, to me, those days are over. You're talking about like, we just don't believe you anymore. I'm ready to say this was not a real assassination attempt in Butler. And I've said for a long time, we know it wasn't because Trump literally never talks about it. He is still bitching about Rosie O'Donnell, but he never mentions the guy who almost blew his head off. That makes no sense. We all knew it was bullshit at the time, but we didn't make a fuss because we didn't want to sound like tinfoil hat wearing nutters, right? Then we have the 2024 election, which was deeply off. And yeah, maybe the result of an investigation into all those swing states going to Trump for the first time in years that had ever happened, or the polling places being bombed, maybe an investigation into that would have said, yep, listen, it was all fair. It was all fine. But we didn't even question it. We didn't even look into it because we didn't want to look like them. We didn't want to look like Stop the Steelers. We didn't want to look crazy. Elon has done so much shady stuff, both with the election and Doge, but we didn't want to cause waves because we didn't want to act like them. And I'm starting to feel like that was part of the plan, right? That they would expect us to not question it because then we would look like them.
That's right. That's right. You set up an irrational, insane logic that you get held to account, to which, by the way, nobody in his administration, not a single person, will ever say he lost that election today. Not one. And you keep that going in order to take it off the table. And you do that with the corroboration of the media because the media stopped asking any important questions. They stopped. Nobody got in the way of any. By the way, I remember the 2000 election very, very well, right? I remember Gore and Bush. I remember everybody holding those stupid ballots up to count the Chads. And in that moment, and what frustrates me about that moment is, speaking of electoral fraud, In that moment,
I'm like, that's where we took a turn on the bad timeline.
I think look, JFK, you done bought that election too. I think in that moment, Gore made a decision. I don't know if it's the right one or the wrong. I can't decide anymore, guys. Gore made a decision to not challenge the legitimacy of U.S. elections because if he did, nobody would ever trust them again. Donald Trump took that as I'm going to challenge the legitimacy of elections so nobody will ever trust them again.
Yeah, because Gore believed in the institutions and thought that was more important than his own win. And Donald Trump doesn't believe in anything. And the only thing to him was his own win. I mean, look, here's the thing that people need to remember. This event happened. It was a real event. A man ran through a checkpoint. But then we were fed he was shot. He had a shotgun. He wasn't shot. We heard multiple weapons. He had multiple weapons. No, he just had a shotgun. He's dead. He's not dead. He's uninjured. And then they blame us for questioning the narrative, right? And I think the confusion is not the fault of society. It's the fault of the distortion and lies that have been fed to society to the point where, as you're saying, we just don't buy it anymore. And crazy things keep happening. And I think we have to look into them. Even if people call us conspiracy theorists, Donald Trump has been a con man his entire life. He has lied to people his entire life. We just keep giving him the benefit of the doubt. And being the bigger person has left the opposition near powerless. So I got to tell you, I'm entirely past the high road. Like you were talking about Pete Hegseth. There is a picture people should look up of Pete Hegseth right after the press conference.
Right in the wings?
And he's in the wings. And it's just a picture of him in the wings. And there was just a shooting and this horrible thing just happened. And you have to look at this picture because it is not a conspiracy theorist who thinks that his face is suspect. It is a logical person who looks at that picture and says, nah, man, something is really off here. And that is what we have to focus on.
I also do think, and I know we're blaming the media here, but there is a level of personal accountability that as citizens, Canada, the United States, it doesn't matter. You are intelligent. You're empathetic. You, for the most part, walk around this world watching beautiful people do beautiful things. Yeah. How dare you choose to believe narratives that you think serve you, but you know are flat out lies. We need to stop believing ridiculous promises. I'm going to lower your taxes. You're going to get more social services. It's not a war. It's a conflict. I'm not taking away rights. I'm just giving more to the states because that's what we need to stop as an intelligent group of individuals believing in things so easily and negating any personal responsibility to actually do the investigation, do the learning, use your common sense rather than vote for rainbows and puppy dogs and hopes and dreams that your future is going to get better and that steel plant's coming back to your town in Michigan and everything's going to be the way it was for your dad back in 1982. Stop. You got to stop. And you got to start to understand your position in the world, our existence interconnectivity, and how everything we do and everything everybody does is going to have a net benefit or a net drawback. And we need to start talking about that. Stop talking about just your community. Stop talking about just your state or province or whatever. You need to understand this is a holistic issue. It's a holistic problem. And until we start understanding that, we're just going to allow people with billions in control of the local station or the last social media app to run the kind of propaganda that serves their interests.
Yeah. There's a writer I like named Mandy Matney, and they said something that really resonated with me. She said, look, and I think this is how a lot of us feel. She said, I'm exhausted. As an American, I'm exhausted. As a journalist, I'm exhausted. This administration sucks up all of the air in every single news cycle and leaves no room for any other stories that matter. And I'm sick of the chaos. And the thing is that I have to understand, because we were told This was always the plan. Steve Bannon told us they were going to flood the zone with shit. The point was to exhaust us, to beat us down, to keep us confused and divided and make it impossible, as you were saying earlier, to tell fact from fiction, right? That it's gone from what is the truth to there is no truth. So what is the point, right? And I understand people want to just give up, but we cannot give up. And I think that's where we are right now. We have to be like, nope, I don't like this. We might have to build it all over again. That sounds really hard. This is really impossible. But I think we have to kind of like pull up our sleeves. I often compare America to like a hoarder's house, right? Like you walk into a hoarder's house and you're like, oh my God, like the mess is so astounding that you're like, let's just burn the whole place to the ground, burn it to the ground. It's never going to be fixed. Right. But like, we don't have the option for that. This is where we live. Right. So we have to like pull up our sleeves and be like, all right, let's get started on the institution of blah. Then let's get over to this and let's hire these people. And like, I'm really excited that Javier Becerra is the leading candidate in California right now, because I'm like, he's the least sexy candidate, right? He's the most competent candidate. He's the one that actually has the chops to do the job because he's actually done all these jobs before. And I'm like, could we get back to that place? Like, that's what we need to be focusing on. And this has been such a nightmare. And I think that this thing that happened over the weekend is only the pinnacle of where we are. And I think, we let these people get away with it or we do not.
Well, I don't think anybody's letting this particular, administration, the midterms will happen. He'll get rocked. He'll get impeached. And then nothing's going to happen. I'll tell you where you put your weight. And I'm speaking directly to Republicans with sense, because I do believe there's a bunch of them. You put your weight on the senators, the Republican senators that have the audacity, that have the absolute disgusting, embarrassing character to know full well that he is a liar. He is destroying the United States of America. He's destroying your economy, by the way, minute by minute. They need to be the one. I'll tell you what, the only thing that will turn the tables here, and the only thing that's going to save the Republican Party next election after the midterms and all the way down the line, is if a group of Republicans finally got together and went, we're not doing it anymore. Could you imagine? I might vote for that Republican.
Listen, I'm ready for Thomas Massey to be Speaker of the House. I'm like, just make Thomas Massey Speaker of the House. He's the only one with the freaking chops.
A group of Republicans said, we're done. And we're going to, at this moment, negate our power. Because if it comes from the Democrats, it just looks like you're angry, right? We're gonna give up our power. Why? Because this country and saving this republic and this democracy is more important than us or my next election. I'm telling the truth because I stand to lose everything. Give me 10 Republicans, give me 7 Republicans like that. And I'm telling you, and I hope the Republicans are listening, maybe everybody can send this to them. If you do that, you've solidified the rest of your career.
Correct.
I can assure it. I can assure it, because once the fog of this insanity is gone and everybody stops talking about Barack Obama's friggin' birth certificate still, when that's gone and people want to come back to some sort of intelligent politics, it's going to be so far removed from the Republicans, you're never going to see it again unless you stand up now.
Yeah.
Convict him.
And you'll be a leader for life, and everyone will vote for you because we will have belief in you. Yeah.
Parties historically have been destroyed, have been overturned, have been broken down and reconfigured. Don't think we're at the end game. There's no, and this is it forever, right? The Whigs transformed, the Democratic Republican Party transformed. The Republican Party was born, not this Republican Party, but a version of a Republican Party under Lincoln was born in a certain era at a certain point of time where you need it. Republicans be Lincoln. Be Lincoln. It's sitting right there for you. But somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it, man. But yeah.
Oh, we weren't born there.
Who wouldn't want 2 Canadian girls running America?
I'm just saying. Mull it over.
Mull it over. We do a good job.
Adjust the Constitution. We'll see where it finds. I'm just saying. And can I just say, and I know we're running out of time here, but I want to say, I do want to give a shout out to that guy who never stopped eating his dinner.
I know. Have
Who
you
is
seen
that
that video,
guy?
guys? If you haven't seen that video, you guys, there's a guy who's sitting on the floor with his spoon coming up.
He wasn't sitting on the
just-
floor. I saw him sitting in his chair. Just keeps eating.
Oh, there's
Everybody's
another guy
under the
who's like
table.
under the table and his food is just coming down. And then a bunch of women went around and grabbed a bunch of wine and just took it home with them. I mean, the whole thing was so ridiculous. Listen, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I mean, I just couldn't think of anyone better to talk to. Please tell people how they can follow your work moving forward, because your opinions and your thoughts on things are always the best.
Oh, thank you so much. Unlearn 16 on TikTok, on Instagram. I have Unlearn 16 classes in session as a podcast. If you want to really jump into the fray and come over on Twitter, and yes, I refuse to call it anymore, it's Unlearn 16 tweet. And that's it. Doing speaking engagements all over Canada. Can't come to the United States just yet. I don't think they'll let me in. But as soon as y'all get
I'm afraid they're not going to let me out.
I'm surprised. If I were you, I wouldn't be moving around too much.
I know everyone thinks that, but here's the thing, Joanna, like, if the people who believe in this country leave, who's left to fight for it? And where are we supposed to be? Like, nobody is safe anywhere in the world if America goes full authoritarian. We need people that are like, I'm willing to take this on. Like, look, I was given a terminal diagnosis 18 years ago. I'm still here. So it can't be to like live a lovely little life in Toronto. That can't be the reason, right? Like, I have to stay here. I have to fight. If this is my journey, it's my journey.
All right, fine. I'll come. Just open the back door. I'll sneak in Michigan.
Solid.
Okay. Fantastic.
Solid. Talk to you soon.
Have a great day.
So that was Joanna Johnson reminding us that this isn't the end game. History shows us that things can be chaotic and horrible, but we just keep going. We just won't be able to do anything productive to get out of this mess if we can't agree on anything. That we need to act as a collective in America and honestly in the world. Because if we don't, we're going to be picked off one by one until there's only these monsters left. I want to thank Joanna for joining us today and you for caring enough about this country to be here. Until next week, PG out. Before you go, I want to remind you that the American government is trying to silence any voices that don't toe the party line. This past weekend and the media ridiculousness that came with it is the perfect example of this. They want state-run propaganda, which is why we need to fund independent media. Mainstream media, cable news, social media are now almost exclusively run by a handful of Trump-supporting billionaires. So if you respect what I'm doing here, if you learn something from my podcasts and rants, if you would like to get this podcast ad-free delivered directly to your inbox, along with my kitchen rants and TV appearances, please consider becoming a member of PoliticsGirl Premium by going to PoliticsGirl.com and signing up. If you are already a premium member of this podcast, thank you so much for your support. But if you're not a member, please consider becoming a patron of my work. If you want real knowledge in a world of lies, it is essential to support those of us out here still trying to bring them to you. There's a link to sign up in the bio of this episode, but also at PoliticsGirl.com. And as always, please like and share these podcasts so we can grow our audience, because the more people who have access to this kind of information, the better. As always, thank you for your time and support. The Politics Girl podcast is written and performed by me, Lee McGowan, and produced and edited by Happy Warrior Entertainment. All rights reserved.